Before installing a Linux OS, let's look into some minimum specifications that would be required to start microbiome or bacterial genome analysis. I was upgrading my laptop's RAM and storage, so I thought I would share these as well. Okay, the CPU. We will need at least Ryzen 5 if it's AMD or Core i5 if it's Intel. Usually, more the number of cores, the faster will be the analysis, as we can run the jobs in parallel. At a certain price point, generally AMD chips contain more cores than Intel chips. When it comes to RAM, at least 16 GB is recommended. 8 GB would work, but again, higher the memory, faster the output. Then storage. For our analysis, we would be requiring at least 150 GB storage. Again, more is better, and prefer using a solid state drive, either a SATA or NVMe. That would make things even faster. If your system supports it, you should opt for NVMe SSDs. Graphic cards are optional unless you are dealing with protein docking and molecular simulations or casual gaming. You don't need a graphics card. While choosing the CPU, see what suffix it has. There are many variants which end with these letters. Generally, at decent price point, you will get high performance CPU variants in the gaming category. So obviously, they come with graphic cards. These are a bit on the heavy side, but as the laptops get thinner, you may get low power CPU variants at that price point. To get a decent thin portable laptop with a high performance CPU variant, and if the looks matter to you, you may have to shell out some extra bucks. Another option is to get a MacBook, where there is no need to even dual boot, as all of the Linux commands will work on macOS, which is basically Unix OS. The need for codes and RAM remains the same. With these specs in mind, in 2020 I went for Asus TUF A17 gaming laptop with a 4th gen Ryzen 5 CPU, which has 6 cores and 12 threads. It came with 8 GB RAM, which I upgraded to 16 GB immediately after receiving the laptop. There was only 1 TB HDD, so I added a 512 GB SSD and cloned the OS from HDD to SSD. As of now, I am dual booting Windows 11 and Fedora 41 from this SSD. It also came with a GeForce GTX 1650 graphics card with 4 GB memory, which I rarely use. As I have been dealing with multiple projects, I am upgrading my RAM to 32 GB and SSD to 1 TB. One more thing to note is that bacterial genome analysis and amplicon based microbiome analysis are pretty easy to run on laptops with these minimum specs. If you want to run a whole metagenome analysis or a pangenome analysis of say 100 genomes, these minimum specs would struggle to complete the analysis. In these videos, while we are dealing with metagenome analysis, we will use an example dataset that can be run on these specs. Okay, let's start upgrading the system. So I went for G-Skill RAMs, purchased 2 pieces of 16 GB DDR4 modules. For SSD, I went with Western Digital SN7701 TB disk. Along with that, we would also be needing SSD enclosure to copy the contents from the existing SSD. So I went with a budget-friendly enclosure, which was around 900 rupees. So before opening the system, let me show the current configuration. So click on the start menu, go to settings, click on system and then about. Here it displays all the information. As I said, I have a AMD Ryzen 5 4000 series CPU and 16 GB RAM. To check the available storage, let's open the disk management by right clicking on the start menu and wait for the utility to populate the disk. Yeah, here we can see I have 2 disks. Disk 0, which came along with the system, is now being used for storing all my data, and additional SSD, which is dual booting Windows 11 and Fedora 41. Out of these partitions, these three are Fedora partitions. What I will do is I will delete these three partitions by right clicking on each one. I will just extend the Windows partition to fill the unallocated space. So if you do not have a dual boot on your system before this and have not made any extra partitions manually, your disk with Windows OS will look something like this. It will have an EFI partition, a recovery partition, a restore partition, and the actual Windows partition. Now I will clone this disk onto the new 1TB SSD and shrink the Windows partition back to about 400 GB. First we'll upgrade the RAM. So for that, switch off the laptop, open the back cover, find the RAM slots on your motherboard, remove the old ones, and then insert the new ones. That's it. Close the cover. Done. Switch on and check the updated memory. Now let's clone the old disk onto the new one. First, let me insert the new SSD into the enclosure. Okay. So for cloning, there are actually many tools like Clonezilla, RescueZilla, Note and Ghost, EasyOS Disk Copy, Macrium Reflect, etc. For this tutorial, we will be using Macrium Reflect, which offers the cloning utility in its free trial version. Go to their site, download the free trial and install it. You have to register first to get the installation working. Once the software is installed, plug in the enclosure with the new SSD and open Reflect. The tool will list all the disks available on the system, just like the disk management utility. Here disk 2 is my existing SSD with the OS and disk 3 is the new one. Now select the existing disk with OS and click on clone this disk. This opens a pop-up window where we can select the new disk. Once selected, the destination disk will show the copy partitions option. If we click that, we have two options. We will select the shrink or extend option so that the new disk will be filled completely. Here, the restore partition took more space than required. We will not need more than the existing space for it, so we will shrink to the existing amount. For shrinking it, right click on the restore partition, select partition size and layout option, then slide the pointer to shrink the partition. Click OK. Then while the restore partition is selected, click on the float right option, select the recovery partition and float that to the right as well. Now select the actual Windows partition and click on fill space option. Click on finish. Set the defaults. Check the box to confirm overwriting. Click on continue. This will clone the disk and will take some time depending on the data you have on your Windows partition. That's it. Cloning is complete. You can check the new partitions in your file manager. You should be seeing two instances of Windows and restore partitions. Now let's replace the SSD. Again, switch off your laptop, open the back cover. Remove the new SSD from the enclosure. Find the SSD slot on your motherboard, remove the screw and then the old SSD. Insert the new SSD and then put the screw back in. Close the lid. Run on your system and it should boot from the new SSD. Check the new disk space in the file manager. Or the disk management utility. Okay, this is not Windows 10. I renamed it long back. It's Windows 11. Let me rename it. Okay, that's it for this video. In the next video, we will look into the installation of Linux OS. See you in the next one. Thank you.